And it says get Twitch for Android. Do I have to do that or?
Are you on Android? Is that what you're on?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm on the tablet. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you could just watch Twitch like that.
Well, I said, it brought me this thing. It says Twitch, get Twitch for Android. Is offline. Browse all channels, and
All right. We should be going live any second now. You'll see it. It should pop up. It's about a 30
okay.
second delay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're having double Vlad vision.
Yep, double Vlad vision, definitely. That's brilliant. That's worked perfectly, actually. Yeah, funny enough, you're actually on the holding screen of the map. How strange is that? That's crazy. So, welcome, boys and girls. Welcome back to the stream. The man you are looking at on the video cam is the man himself. Please, this is Ilia Volok, aka the man himself, Vlad, the crazy Russian. Welcome to the stream, sir. We are honoured to have you here. It really is an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's
my pleasure.
It's our pleasure for us. You've no idea. It's an amazing pleasure for us. Now I need to bring up the game and see what's going to happen. Hopefully it's not going to block anything out. No, it won't. That's brilliant. Okay, so boys and girls in the chat, if you've got any questions whatsoever, if you'd like to post them in the chat, and if for any reason, if you can't see the chat, people typing stuff on the right hand side of the video panel in the chat, let us know, and we can relay the questions across to you. So fire away, guys, if you've got some questions. As I said, I was looking at your IMDb earlier on, and I was stunned at the amount of stuff you've done. And as I say, it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to have somebody like yourself with us. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I've been doing acting here. Well, I'm originally from from Russia, Kiev, Ukraine, but I've studied in Russia.
Just wondering, is it
acting.
type or?
And then I came to LA. Basically, wanted to pursue my career here, and then started little by little started doing film and television, and I've been doing that for more than 20 years now here in the United States.
I mean, some of the people that you've met must be. I mean, I saw the photograph of you and Tom Cruise. I mean, I was so jealous.
Yeah, that was from Mission Impossible. The one, not the last one, but the one.
Number 4, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was the
Ghost Protocol.
That's it. Yeah. Fantastic.
That was great, and Steven Spielberg, and
wow.
And big, other big directors, Oliver Stone, and it's.
Your Christmas card list must cost you a fortune.
What is that?
Your Christmas card list must cost you a fortune.
Yeah, it's. That's right. Well, now it's a lot of time. You could actually send emails.
Yeah, true. But you've done quite a lot. I mean, even as I know, obviously, a very well-established actor. And these are just my own personal questions, by the way. I've just quickly got one or two I just quickly wanted to ask. Character voices, you've played quite a few. I know you've done Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, Battlefield, and various others.
And Battlefield actually was Battlefield. It was actually so what they call motion capture. It was actually not only the voice, but they filmed us.
Wow.
They filmed you. It's like they use the stage and they put those suits on you with
little balls.
I don't know how you
reflector. Yeah, I know exactly what
you
mean.
Yeah. And then they basically build the character. Designed the character. According to your
movements
body.
Yeah.
And then the face. They face generally looks like general features are kind of the same, but then they add some I think they added a scar for me or something like. It was interesting. Yeah, wow. But. Yeah, it was an interesting process to do that, and of course, the voice. There was a lot of voice stuff, over the years.
Yeah.
Voiceover. Besides just regular on screen, but of course, my main work is on screen. That's But I look at it. It's you commit to a character regardless if it's on screen or off screen. You try to create a life living character.
Yeah.
And that's what counts.
You
It's
try to
not.
get into that mindset of the person
Yeah,
you're actually portraying.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, with Vlad, I just have a blast doing it.
Yeah.
It's just fun process. You could. Um, it's just it's been pretty unique process for me. Just working and being free and the people I work with. It's been great to me. So
That's brilliant.
it was.
Well, thank you for answering that one. We've got a couple of questions we got from the chat. Are you able to see the people sending messages?
I think I get. I don't think I see it here.
Right.
Because it still shows this error and shows on offline.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know if maybe I should download that application. I'm not sure.
I don't know about the. Anybody know about the Android apps for the for Twitch?
It says I could probably click on it and it will, but I don't want to. I don't want to disconnect from you guys. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. That's fine. We can relay the questions. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem at all. One of the questions we've actually got in the chat from iFly is there's a lot of difference. Sorry, is there a lot of difference between shooting a movie and shooting an episode for a TV series, apart from the time you actually spend? And which do you actually prefer acting in, and why?
It's a good question. The difference, nowadays, before they looked at the television as more at movies they look more like as an art versus TV is more of like a business. But now it's changing because there's a lot of good quality writers came to television.
Yeah.
Because I think over the years, from what I understand, the quality of movies kind of went down a little, and now with all these cable channels such as HBO, TNT, also with all this online, Netflix, and they could do creatively much more because the network television is actually pretty. There's some restrictions
Yeah.
of how not showing blood, and not swearing. But not that it's the main determination of the being a good project, but still now with television, what I'm saying, it's there's much more opportunities for writers and producers. So it's still the TV is much faster.
Yeah.
Because a regular 1 hour episode is shot for within 8 days, so it's really compact and the schedule more much shorter.
Yeah.
Which you have less luxury to experiment and create. But still, I like both. I can't say. I have a preference. Of course, if you're in the big film and it's a big success, then it's. I mean, that's great,
Yep.
But there's a lot of good television right now and a lot of good scripts. So I wouldn't say that I have a preference and as a working journeyman actor also, you don't really. I mean, you just go with the what they offer you and you do it. It's like Samuel Jackson said, the reason to where I'm at right now in my career is I never rejected a project.
Yeah.
So to answer, like, to wrap it up and say, yeah, I like doing both, and and also it keeps you involved and engaged in the process, and you work on your skill, besides getting paid. So that's
a brilliant answer. Okay, we've got another question. This one, where's it gone? I've lost it again. Oh, where's it go? What's the hardest role that you've actually had to play as an actor?
I guess the hardest role, I'd say, of course, because I also do theater.
Right.
Yeah, I also, besides film and TV, that's the way for me to grow as an artist, as an actor, as a professional. I think it's extremely important for a real actor to do that. And of course, I mean, film and TV, unless you're a major star, you don't get to play the roles that you could get by putting up a play or doing producing a play yourself and being one of the lead characters.
Yeah.
So there's I've played several. I've done several one man shows, which there was whole me myself.
Yeah.
I did this piece by Gogol, one of the Russian greats, classics, called Diary of a Madman, and I won an award for that. But that was challenging because it's like 1 hour and whatever, hour and 10 minutes. It's just me on stage, and
Very
it's not
difficult.
stand up. You actually go through all the range of emotions and nuances. Is like, yeah, and yeah, so stuff like that is probably the most challenging when you're giving great material and you have to live up to that material.
Yeah.
And so um
Wow.
and then in film and TV, I'd say the more complicated roles are where you besides, okay, you playing most of the stuff I'm playing is bad, guy, gangster, but there were few roles in television
Yeah.
that where I had it was a played also still a played a played a mobster, but who was in love with this with his wife who leaves him, and there's a child, and that brings a nice you know range of emotions and human qualities, and that's more challenging
Yeah.
but also more interesting to play. So
Wow. We've got another question from Kraken, and he says, "Me being a big Supernatural fan, he'd love to hear your experience working on the set of Supernatural and working with, I believe it's Jared and Jensen."
yeah, yeah, it was great actually. It was interesting because I never realized that show Supernatural was such a big hit, because they don't really in LA. I never seen the advertising for that. It was kind of, and then I went for audition for that, and I said like, what is this show? Uh, and then I realized, they shoot in Vancouver, and when I got there, I realized that this show is like has a huge following, and the team of those people, they've been doing it for a while, the show, and they're like a very well, uh, like a very like established, nice family of people, and then two lead guys are fun to be working with. They were
Mm.
like very professional, and at the same time, cracking jokes, and it was great. It was just a great experience, and I got to spend 10 days in Vancouver, and it was mm, just good memories.
I can
Good
imagine.
memories. Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Because I
It's
mean,
just,
you've done a lot. You was in Friends as well, wasn't you?
yeah. I've done I mean, my IMDb, if you count by the number of different film and TV shows, I've done like 140
Wow,
uh, different projects. Yeah.
that's
Yeah, there's a
amazing.
lot of television,
Yeah.
different episodic, starting with NYPD Blue, and CSI and NCIS recently. I mean, there's a lot of um, in the sitcoms this year. A couple of new sitcoms. The Two Broke Girls, and because I do comedy, I like doing comedy as well as
The
serious
serious
stuff.
stuff, yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what the real actor, well, trained actor, should be able to do.
Yeah,
It's
I kind of I know what you mean because there's like my voice. There's certain things that I probably wouldn't be able to do with my voice because I haven't got. It's not soft enough or anything like that. I've got a
yeah,
much harder
but it's
voice.
not really about the if we're talking about the on-screen acting or
Yeah.
theater acting. It's not really about the voice. Voice is important as a tool, to carry your what you have going on inside.
Hmm.
But as far as if we're talking about the acting skill, it's not. Yeah, the voice could be your individual sort of a trace, but it's not. It's really what you have going inside, and how well you can become another
Yeah.
character, and still being yourself, but at the same time organically living somebody else's life
Yeah.
through
Yeah. Yeah.
your feelings and through your thoughts, through your emotions. That's the acting thing. So
Great answer.
um
And somebody's actually asking, do you have any hobbies or do you play any musical instruments? What do
that's a
you
good.
do?
I wish I could spend more time with it. I play a little bit of a guitar, and this is like one of my regrets that I don't practice the way I should. I would love to do it more, and also I do just for myself. I do practice just singing,
Yeah.
just a little bit of
Yeah, we've heard some of your singing in Payday. Just saying, we've heard some of
I'm just yeah, I'm just fooling around. But I do it. They told me, even like my grandma, who was musical person, and she told me, oh, you have a great, you have a baritone, and you have to. Um, in fact, it was funny. I wasn't like when I was in my teens, I think, like, or I was in the middle of, okay, do I go and study singing, and I just fell into acting. It was interesting, but yeah, but this is also something I would like to develop more. But I also, of course, it's great to have a hobby, and I like sports. I try to stay in shape, and I used to be a professional athlete when I was younger. In rowing, the team
it. Oh,
crew
right. Cool.
back in Soviet Union. And but I don't, really don't have time right now to do that because
Yeah.
But overall, just probably, staying, athletic. But of course, there's not enough time for everything, because let's say if you're working on your project, like let's say we're finishing with my friend, we're finishing a film that we shot ourselves based on our play, and that like takes, a lot of time, because we're doing pretty much now we're in the final stages of editing, and we need to finish that, so that
Yeah.
takes a lot of time. And besides, you always have to be ready for, if an audition comes up, or a project, and also I actually started teaching acting. So I've been doing this for a year. I'm teaching at the Lee Strasberg's Institute in Los Angeles, because they have one
Wow.
in New York. And I also taught just a couple of master classes in Europe and France. I just came back like 10 days ago from, no, 2 weeks ago, I came back from Paris. I
Wow.
had, so that also takes, so it's like, I think a lot of my time is occupied by acting or acting related.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I'm kind of, in that regard, I'm kind of a maximalist, as far as, um, if I start working on my one man show, for example, that's it. I can't really. I'm sort of like, because such a. It takes tremendous amount of time, because you also producing it yourself. You
Yep.
also, yeah. So, but I'd love to, of
Three
course.
times the workload on one person.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it is. It is a really one. I mean, I was talking to my friends. Unless you are hiring people to to produce it for you,
Mm.
and to do all the but then still there is no guarantee they're gonna do as good of a job as you do it, if you control it.
True.
Of course, I had like
Oh.
a set designer and the technical person, absolutely, but the whole preparation, and a director, I had a director, but it's like, I mean, 90% of everything you have to do it yourself if you're doing that. So it's like
Yep.
that takes anyway. So I would like to, of course, have more time, like maybe play a guitar or something. But
I might hook you up with a friend of mine. I've got a very good friend in the US. He's a very famous man, Seymour Duncan. He makes pickups. I don't know if you play electric guitar or acoustic, but
oh really?
yeah, you never know. I know that he's in LA, so it'd be kind of interesting. Send him around, give you a guitar lesson.
Oh, wow,
The
that'd
guy's
be
amazing.
great.
Okay, we've got other questions as well. Somebody's asking, do you speak other languages other than obviously your own native language? Do you speak other
I
languages?
speak some like French, little, a couple of words, here and there, and of course, Russian, Ukrainian. That's my, and I'd say, I mean, I don't want to say I speak French, but I could get by a couple of words, and if I could read in French a little bit, but that's, and I think I speak English. I think.
You do very well. You do very well.
Yeah.
And somebody's also asking, what was your first voice acting experience? This is an odd one. I don't know why they're asking how much you were paid for it, and they're also asking, could you say something in Russian stroke Ukrainian? That's
Конечно, я вот сейчас говорю по-русски. Как дела? I said, I'm just speaking Russian. How are you?
There you go.
My first voice job. Besides, for example, working on, I've done over the years a couple of video games, but then also, they call me, for example, when there is a film or a TV show, and they call it ADR, audio digital recording.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a skill within itself. It's like you basically, for example, if they shoot a scene in a police station, for example, and there's main characters talking, but then they have on the background people who just like, so let's say, walking and
I got you. Yeah, like having tellers and customer chatting randomly and whatever.
Yeah. So that has to be, but that has to be very specific.
Yeah.
They have to come up with the terms, and because those actors, they cannot talk because they're background, actors. So they bring this crew, voiceover people, who actually create the whole atmosphere.
Wow.
And so I've done. So I think one of my first voiceover jobs was stuff like that. Well, like you play. There's like there's, if it's like some kind of Russian theme, and they have, let's say they shoot at the Russian restaurant, and there's like two characters, main characters, but then there's like a bunch of other people that they really don't say anything when they were shooting the scene, so you fill in those.
Yep.
So I've done like number of movies like that, Fast and Furious. We did the Die Hard, just recent ones. Like, but over the years, it was besides the stuff that I did for like video games,
And which one for you stands out? Which voiceover that you've done? Obviously, we all know you for being Vlad, but which one stands out for you as being your?
Well, the Vlad would be the one, because this is like I really I could pretty much improvise and do, be free
all the
with
crazy
it.
Stuff.
Yeah, it just comes, and that I think, and that's what people like, from what I understand.
Yes.
It just comes from your instinct and your gut, and you're not restricted. I mean, the other stuff, it was more like like we do a couple of video games. It was it was most of it was about shouting and yelling, and it was not really. I mean, it was good, you still commit, and everything, but
there was no
but this
comedy
is
to it, was there? There was no comedy to it. So now there is, and that's what I like.
correct. But this is the most creative.
Yeah.
You
allows you to be yourself and go mad.
For Vlad, it was and it came out of originally it came out. They also shot the web series for that. So it was first it was on screen character,
right?
You know, Vlad, and then that it actually helped for the Payday game, to get going. So it was it was a little bit longer history than just the voice of Vlad.
That's brilliant.
But definitely Vlad would be my favorite. I hope Vlad lives.
I mean, yeah, well, so do we all. Yeah, we don't want anything happening like we've had with some of the others. We definitely don't want that happening. And fire your questions away, by the way, guys, if you're in the TS, because I can obviously hear you.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions, ask away. I'm just trying to see if there's any in the actual chat at the moment. Suggested, was your question answered for you?
Yes.
Okay, that sorts that one out. So yeah, obviously you were back in the recording studios for Overkill not so long ago with this new goat heist that they've brought in. I can imagine the lines. I mean, we've heard some of the lines, and they are hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Did you have an idea this was coming up? Because there's previous lines you've used in other heists a little while back where you referenced about shagging a goat. So I'm just curious.
Yeah. I think it came up because we just did something before that, not that long ago, and then they said we want to do this Christmas haste, yeah, and no idea. I had no idea, and I was actually cracking up when I was reading it, but when I came to the studio, I was like, wow, this is pretty, it's pretty out there.
It is. So, it is hilarious. I mean, I say some of the lines we've heard. I mean, they have absolutely. Well, it brought me to tears last night. Some of the lines that we were listening to, they were incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And they really are brilliant. It's whoever sat and thought those lines, they really have certainly put them to the right character. Because for us, you couldn't put those lines anywhere else.
I think they also have pretty talented writers.
Definitely.
The good sense of humor.
Definitely. But I don't think anybody else could have done that. In realistic terms, I don't think anybody else could have done it. If they gave that to Chains, I don't think it would work. There's something about it. It's just got your air of craziness about it that only you could add.
Yeah. I guess I'd say it's a mutual process where you start feeding off. The actor brings something, and the writers start trusting the actor.
Yeah.
And I guess it creates this energy, this mutual.
I mean, do you bounce ideas off of each other? So if they give you a script.
No. They give me scripts, and I just have fun with it, because there's a foundation, yeah, and I love that kind of I call it a heightened reality. I love that. I love also just simple, realistic, serious stuff. But also I love the this kind of I don't want to say larger than life, but probably is. Just to this, going, not being because like one of the very good directors, film director, he said you can't just kind of sneak up on this material. You just have to just go all the way, jump in, and just have fun with it, and commit. So I think that's what I'm finding in Vlad.
Yeah, He's a brilliant character. He's absolutely great, and I'm glad that you
Yeah.
get such a free run with some of the stuff they write. We've got
Thank you
other
so much.
questions. Let's have a see what else we
Yeah,
got.
just linking on to what you said there, I wonder if he's surprised at the following that Vlad appears to have. Like, how was it in
Very
PaydayCon?
good question. Yeah, PaydayCon, and as suggested, you said in my ear. Are you surprised by the number of the amount of following that you've got for actually being the character voice for Vlad? I mean, a
You
lot of
know,
our viewers and that they always say, Vlad, the lines are just the best.
it's interesting because I never even knew and also I wasn't that familiar with I mean Facebook I did, but like Twitter, and I should because I'm not really. I have to basically kind of do it on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Like even I answered you, I realized, man, I haven't because I was gone and I
it
was
was
in
like 2
Europe
months
and
ago.
no,
Yeah,
but I didn't like I know like I answered and then I'm kind of just was so busy with
yeah,
stuff here. So something, but I know now it's a new pretty much way of communicating new realities. So no, I of course I was surprised and it's just kind of it just to me it's kind of amazing and and pleasant of course and but again it goes just you don't really sometimes think what's gonna come out of it, and you just commit to your character and have fun and let things just happen, and because you never know you can't control the outcome. All you can control is your commitment.
yeah.
You know, so that's yeah. It was totally surprising in a pleasant way.
And curiously, have you actually ever played Payday, the game? Have you ever actually played the game itself?
You know what? I have to, man. I know. I have to. I would love to, but never. I actually never played, except like some basic, very basic stuff a long time ago. But I never actually played a video game. I should. I just because I need to. I mean, I need to get some equipment for that. Correct? Yeah. Because I don't really even
Oh right,
know
yeah.
exactly.
So you need like a computer or a console, whichever to play it on.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
I think I definitely should look into it, or maybe just have have somebody who has it and just kind of yeah. I no, I really it's just I guess a matter of time, man. It's just because there's a lot of other priorities,
Yeah.
but I need to. I'm gonna put it on my list.
Right, add it to the list, and if you ever do it, we'll get a lobby together and we'll get some games with you. That will be for definite.
It'll be great. It'll be great. I mean, honestly, and regardless, just for the even like for general kind of a knowledge, I think it's great to do. I mean, just to know to experience that.
Somebody's actually asking in the chat the song that you done for Payday. I can't actually pronounce what it's called.
Which
Is it Kakaline? Kakaline?
how does it sound?
Oh, I have no idea. Does
The
anybody else know
melody,
that
because
one?
I think I've done.
Yeah,
Oi,
it's
cvítě
what he sings
Kalina,
after
pole
a
uruče.
successful
This one?
heist,
Kalinka.
sometimes Kalinka.
Da, 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 da. Is
Kalinka,
this
yeah.
one?
Kalinka, I think, yeah.
Kalinka?
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. Well, I think I did. I might have done. Ой, цветет калина в поле у ручья. Hey, парня молодого полюбила я, парня полюбила на свою беду. Hey, something like that. I don't know.
It's absolutely crazy.
No obscenities.
Yeah, because all the line we always get is fucking Sputnik. That's the one we always get. We love that one.
Yeah, Sputnik.
Gonna fucking
Wow.
Sputnik. Fucking brilliant.
I will rise. And I think that video that they did was, the one that, the one on when we were on the bench.
Yes.
I think it was for the link, the clip.
I think I remember which one.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was like I think it was like a promotion for Payday 2. I think
Right.
it's like I come I dress as a homeless guy, and then anyway, so that I think that was I think they did a good job with that. Um, I just remember that because it was shot that earlier this year.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Not how hard is it to voice act at the moment? Not quite sure
What?
how that's worded. Hang on a minute. That's with all that. I don't know how that's been worded. Suggestive. That looks.
Which one? Which
Just a gamer, would you mind rephrasing your question?
Yeah, we're just getting someone to clarify a question because it looks a bit strange.
Okay.
Let's find out what's going on there. Welcome, boys and girls. Welcome if you're just joining. Okay, you got another question for me, please? Well, you was going to ask a question?
No, I didn't have one yet.
You haven't got a question? You not have a question?
I actually have something. It
then.
kind of links on to what you were saying before, but
Mhm.
when you get these lines, do you ever think, what the fuck am I saying?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah, just been asked. When you actually get some of these lines, do you ever literally look at the script and think, "What the fuck? What are they fucking going on about?" I mean, do you ever get that sort of, "Oh, what the hell"?
As it's a good it is a good question. As an actor, the ability of an actor, you don't really you question you ask questions about the character, not about I think the main job of an actor to get to fall in love with the script regardless
Yeah.
what it is. That's I think the actor should be like a sponge because there are some actors, and that's what I tell also to my students. They start mentally saying, "Oh, I wouldn't do that," or "My character wouldn't do that." That's not an actor's approach.
Right. I got you.
Actor's approach is to embrace what you're given and just make it work and justify
Yep.
within yourself. And I think that's one of the main important things for act. Otherwise, where you kind of put this mental separation, it's not gonna work unless you are the writer and you start rewriting what you wrote and this and that. But no, yeah, I mean, I could react to to read and say, oh fuck, that's pretty out there,
Yeah.
but I know, and I have the ability, for all these years of experience, to justify stuff and make it close to myself.
Yeah.
So, and when it's funny, and that's even better,
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
yeah, and then I guess that's why it works, because for most of the times I feel at ease with it, or I embrace it, and
Yep.
that's why people who listen to that, who watch that, they like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep, definitely.
So
That was a very sort of similar question. Being a professional voice actor as well, do you find it difficult to find voice acting work, or does it just tend to come to you quite easily, being at a professional level?
that was kind of because, like I said earlier, my main thing is film and TV on
Yep.
screen, yeah. And but of course there are voice agents. I mean the people who represent also the. In fact, it's one of my next. I'm updating my demo, just my regular, demo
Yep.
reel. And the next step, I'm gonna create a voice demo just to, because I never really paid attention to that. Like, because all the work I've got for the for the voice, it was somebody referred me, or there's like those ADR groups. It's a very small, tight community,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
say, okay, we need some foreigners, we need somebody Eastern European, this and that. Or you'll be surprised. They actually asked me once. I did this movie. What was it? Escape or something with Stallone and Schwarzenegger, which I don't think it was very successful, but it was a big budget film. And they asked me to revoice Schwarzenegger, him getting waterboarded. It was funny. And with all the,
Yeah.
and it was, yeah, because he couldn't, they couldn't get him to come in or something. He wouldn't come in. And, but I did, yeah, it was, anyway. So I'm just saying, those kind of jobs, it's just more of a referral kind of thing. A couple of times I've auditioned for like some video games. I've auditioned for the voice, but
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is just, it works as a referral, and I didn't really concentrate on that as the main kind of my main objective. But I'm gonna update the demo tape, and any acting job, including the voice job, is difficult. It's a constant, because there's so many actors, and there's only so many the jobs. So
Yep.
it's always it's any creative business like that. It's a big competition, and so uh, I'm used to this, already, to this I guess lifestyle. So you go from job to job, from audition to audition, and um, but I never, yeah, like I said, the main focus is the film and TV work. That's what, and then I guess that was just a sort of came out of kind of on the side. It's just an extension
Yep.
of your abilities. And if people they could use that. I'm grateful for that.
And Crispy Broomstick is asking, what would you say for a beginning actor to do at the moment in time? Any advice you'd give for any people that are
Well,
getting into acting?
of course, first of all, to have passion for it, um, to really, really know that this is what I want to do for my future.
Yep.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with trying and seeing, oh, it's not for me. But I'm just saying, at some point, realizing this is it. I'm going to stick with it. And I am going to make something out of myself in that field. And of course, you need to take acting classes. You need to get into it's great to get in some kind of a play, to be involved with the people who do that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, working on your own projects, whether it's creating web series or a play, be an active. You can just sit and wait, for people to call you. I think creating your own work also will create opportunities. But
Right.
for
Okay.
the very beginner, you have to just do, I don't know the level of the person who asked a question, but
Yeah.
but you have to go and study, at least to get into a good class, acting class,
Yep. Agreed.
scene study class, and improv also is good, and just to to get that going.
Yep. We got a very good question actually from one of our viewers, Taint. Did you ever work with the English actor Alan Rickman, who recently passed away?
You know, it was. It's a first of all, it's a shock
Hmm.
to me that he passed away. Unfortunately, I was never able to work with him. From the British actors, I worked with Gary Oldman and Alfred Molina, which was a great. Oh, and David Suchet,
Oh, David Suchet. Yeah.
and Joss Auckland, the older. Um, that was like 20 years ago. Yeah, I worked with few Brits. I worked with um, Vinnie Jones.
Good
You
old
know,
Vinny, our boy Vinny, having it.
but of course, you know my yeah. I wasn't lucky enough to work with Alan Rickman, but he's great. I've seen him in a number of things, and I've seen him playing Rasputin for this HBO project.
Yep.
That was like about 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'll try and answer the question, Blackhawk. It's very difficult because I obviously it has not actually played the game. So I mean, they're asking what your favourite mission would be in Payday, but if you've not actually seen much of the game, it's probably a very
you
difficult
know,
question to
I read also about this, and of course from what I you know what, I don't want to I just want to I don't want to just come up with stuff, you know, but but I guess I would say uh if I'm doing this, then it's I like them all. I mean, you know, I need to I really need to play though, you know. I need
yeah.
to just to kind of get into that. Now I'll definitely I'm gonna look into it, you know, just um but say the goats is my favorite so far. Oh, no,
I got to be honest. I mean, it's a favourite for most of us at the moment with some of the lines. It really is.
uh,
I'm really glad they let you off the leash for that one. Somebody's asking also, what is the worst acting job that you've actually had to endure?
it's interesting. You know, sometimes it could be physically difficult in a sense. For example, I was working on this show for a year. I don't know. They also have a big like following in the Power Rangers.
Yep.
I and I know you probably guys look down.
On the IMDb, it's all there.
Yeah. So, but it was no, I because I was wearing a suit that was made out of suede, and we were shooting in Palm Day in California when it was 110 degrees,
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
in the Fahrenheit. So, and you have tons of makeup and a fake eye on your forehead,
Which is perfectly normal.
and a helmet with this long, thick synthetic hair.
Oh, wow.
So you can't really, you try not to move because you don't want to sweat, so your makeup does not run, in this heat. And they're holding an umbrella over you. I mean, that was that's and also on stage, they put this new wig on me with those thick hair, and you can't really take the helmet because it's pinned down on your head,
Wow.
and I got a couple of times the sense of claustrophobia, like,
Mm.
oh man, I want to get that. So, and another one I remember. So it's not a job per se, but the conditions sometimes you have to deal with. It could be pretty um, daunting.
Mm.
Daunting, and then the other one was it was like a horror film, and my character is the one who cuts his face like with the razor,
Yeah.
and then for that they needed to create cast on my face. So that
Oh.
process was about like maybe 5 hours to get into the cast and sitting in this. So like maybe 2 hours into it, it probably was less than 5 hours, but but it was long.
Mm.
But like halfway into it, I all of a sudden, my mind starts playing like tricks with me, and I started like getting into this claustrophobic, like, oh
Your
shit, I need
breathing
to get out of
changing, yeah.
here.
Oh.
I need to get out of here. It's a psychological thing. And the
Mm.
guy is like, man, are you okay? We have to break. We've been working for like 2 hours. We need to break the. And I'm like, I just said to myself, relax. Just kind of
Mm.
breathe, and I kind of eased into it. But yeah,
Oh, that must be
I'm not a
horrible.
not a big fan of yeah, but sometimes you have to deal with that stuff.
Yeah. Other questions that
So
we've got? Fire away, boys and girls.
Felicia had a couple.
Go on in. Fire away, Felicia.
It's basically two. What's your favorite movie and any actors you've been looking up to, like that you find inspirational?
Okay, so what is your favourite movie? And are there any actors that you specifically look up to for inspiration?
yeah, the favorite I'd say, from the great my one of my idols I'd say is Marlon Brando
Oh.
and Al Pacino,
Mhm.
Robert Duvall, well, Gary Oldman. Uh, I'd say those. John Malkovich. Uh, those. Well, Christian Bale, I think, is from the younger generation. I
Mhm.
think he's an amazing actor. Uh, and the movie. Well, there's several. Oh, Ben Kingsley is one of my favorites too. Um, in the films, well, I guess I'd say, Godfather, the first one,
Yep.
and uh, uh, what is it? Last Tango in Paris, Bertolucci. That's with Marlon
Marlon Brando.
Brando.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Then I love Sexy Beast. I don't know if you saw it with Ben Kingsley. Oh yeah, of course. Jack Nicholson is one of my favorites. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and
Yeah, yeah. Definitely.
Shining. That's I loved. I love what they did. The Coen brothers. I love the No Country for Old Men. I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was fantastic, and Javier Bardem was, amazing in that. So those just few
Cool.
to name a
Right.
few. Yeah.
Somebody's saying, have you met any actors that are really not the nicest kind of people? That's an odd question, that one,
You
take.
know, most of the people are. It's very. I mean, it's a very professional, relationship, and of
Yeah.
course, there's different people with attitude and uh, some people there was some that had this sort of like a little bit stand up, more like of a yeah, I'm a star
Yeah, yeah. I know.
kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
but not that many, and I don't really name the names
No,
because
no, I
it's
know what you mean. Yeah, but I know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, but yeah, most of the time it's great. It's professional, and sometimes people ask me, "Oh, did you make friends with with Tom Cruise or like that?" But it doesn't work like that. It's just you do your job. They're nice. They're very professional. They're helpful, and then you know that's it. It's there is that like a hierarchy anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
It's. I mean, there could be like we were working with for example with Vinnie Jones, and he was he was great, And Hugh Jackman was fantastic. Also, it was on Swordfish. He came to see my play actually when we were, me and my friend were doing this, comedy, and he actually brought his wife and their little baby and the wife's relatives. It was amazing. I mean, he came to see, this play in a little theater. So it was, but I, but overall, it's all professional, because also, even if you have an attitude, and sooner or later people will resent that, the
Yeah.
crew, and and the word will go around, and then you won't be. Look what happened to Val Kilmer. Yeah, yeah, but sometimes, it's just. I mean, there are many examples like that. People kind of, they get their head to high.
Up in the clouds, yeah. I'm a
And,
superstar. Yeah,
I mean, then what happened? They stopped getting work.
it's very
So,
true. Very
and
true.
especially when you start doing stupid stuff like, using some, drugs or shit, stuff like that. So it's not.
And somebody's
Uh,
actually asked, it's a very odd question, this one. Did you ever do something that you were ashamed of later on in terms of VA, so in terms of voice acting?
is that a voiceover?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it's when I do any job, I try to commit to it as much as I can, and even if you uh, play a villain, nasty killer character, but your job is to commit to it as much as possible, and just and let people judge about the character. So in that regard, the only thing I would, or I could regret, if I didn't put enough, work in the character, or just did it like half-ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But not really.
Cool. There you go. That's very
Yeah.
nicely answered. That's a good one. Next question, boys and girls. You've got a couple there, I still think, I believe.
I'm wondering if he has ever had to turn down a role, and if he has, can you give us a rough idea of what that was?
Actually, that's a very good question. I think we was on this a little bit earlier on. Have you ever turned down work that's come your way? And what was the other part? Was it? Was there a reason for it? I think is that what
You
you're
know,
saying suggested?
the only work that I turned down was when it just had a conflict. Conflict as far as because I got another project.
Yeah.
But no,
Okay.
no,
That's
it's
interesting.
only like if you're unavailable, you're doing something else, and there's something comes up, and but no, I didn't.
Okay. Nice one. And again, Taint is asking if you could play any character in any film, which would it be and why?
Uh, I would from from um, from the I guess the world's classics character. One of my favorites is Macbeth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I if I had a chance to do that, that would be great challenge to play, because it's a the complexity of the character, and who battles his uh, the ambition and vanity, and also his the inner pain and regret and shit, I forgot this word. What is this? He's it's a very complicated role, and I think for an actor, it's the great opportunity to work on something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the role maybe not necessarily maybe not necessarily but the role of the character of that caliber,
Yep.
the complexity of the human of the human spirit, complexity of them making a decision and
Thanks.
and killing your friend, and then also being stuck in between the person who you love, your wife, and the promising. It's a great. I think it's a great challenge for an actor to have.
Yep. Okay, we've got some more questions as well. When was the first time you found a passion for acting? Or how did you actually get into it?
Yes, interesting. It's back when I was, back in still it was Soviet Union. I lived in Kiev, Ukraine, and I was a professional athlete in a rowing team. But then my future was for me to become a coach. To go into the university where you actually spend 4 years and you become a professional coach.
Yeah.
But I felt like this is not that I wanted. It wasn't something for me, and I went there for 2 years. But then something within me was telling me that I had to try something else, and I felt like I have this other abilities, and that brought me into this. It was like a semi-professional. It was like a community kind of theater center, and I got lucky. I got enrolled in this group of people who were basically it's an acting workshop.
Yeah.
And the guy who conducted that was very smart and interesting guy, and we started working on little scenes and poetries, and then we started doing something from Chekhov. We were rehearsing it, and I was just remember that started kind of taking over my whole existence. I would come home and just start going through the scene and getting excited about it, and then in one of the rehearsals, the guy told me that you have to apply for one of the main colleges. He said, don't stay here in Kiev, but go into into Moscow, because it's they have those great schools. Anyway, so and I did that, and I got accepted from the first time I tried. So that's how that happened.
Okay. We had a question from Drunken. Where did I see it? Have you ever had the chance to hang out with your other Payday crew, as in Eric Etabari and Damien and Pete Gold and those guys?
Yeah. We were together in at the convention in the
PaydayCon.
in Seattle.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great. We had we
yeah.
spent a couple of hours. It was a fantastic trip.
Cool.
Yeah. It was nice.
I know Chains is mad. I know Damon he's completely mad. Although he's not a drinker at all. He doesn't drink alcohol. It's amazing somebody could be that crazy and not be drinking alcohol.
Damien?
Yeah, he's mad.
Oh, he's not. I don't remember. I think I don't remember. I drink a little bit. Yeah. But I don't remember. Yeah, maybe he didn't, huh? I don't.
No, he doesn't. No, he's completely teetotal.
Well, then you should.
That's what I said. Yeah, it'd be funnier.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, it'd definitely be funnier.
Well, he could use sense memory,
We've got a couple more questions here. Are you okay for time? I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got another question, which I don't think I've missed this one. Let's make sure. Have you been able to steal or take anything home off of a film set or Payday set?
Just sucks. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, it's sometimes when you work on the projects, you know, it's actually for me. It's like it's such a pain in the neck to go and shop, especially for like pants, because it's you have to try them on. You cannot just get like the size because you know they're very particular. So sometimes, like if I see something nice, I'll ask them, guys, can you buy it? Can I buy it from you? Or sometimes they just give you
Yeah.
because. So I've done that couple of times, you know, with but on films it more likely. On television they keep it for they basically keep it in their reserve because
Yep.
they use that.
Yep.
But for films I've done it actually. I asked them, can I buy it from you? Or like, you know, which is, you know,
That's cool.
nice, you know.
Right, let's have another one. Yeah, somebody was saying though, obviously you had good fun at PaydayCon. That must have been a good laugh.
Yeah.
Do you get recognised in the street for being Vlad?
You know, I've got recognized, not for Vlad because it's voice, yeah,
Right.
most of the, but I've gotten over the years, I've gotten recognized for um, films, you know, for like my, you know, you go into a lot of times, sometimes people like look at me and say, um, oh, I have we met, you know, because they see the face is familiar, but they cannot exactly. They don't know how to, you know, place you.
Put a name
And
to that
I don't want to say,
face.
oh, you know, I'm in the movies because they would say no, oh no, you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's something
Yeah.
else. So, but there was many times there was the guys, you know, the people say you were in the movie, you know, in the film, and you know, and so they recognized me. It was a funny one. It was about 2 months ago. I was coming back because I went to Europe about 2 months ago. Also, I was coming back, and out of all play, no, it was actually no, it was actually coming back from Seattle. Yeah,
Right.
it was funny, and I was coming through the customs. Yeah, through the not the customs, but through the security. And the guy looks at me, the security like officer there, and he says, "Are you were you coming here a second time already?" And and I know exactly what you know, because no, I mean out of the what second time? This is like I'm a first time in in Seattle, you know. And I say, yeah, I just told him. I usually don't say that, but I told him I did a lot of film and television. Exactly.
Oh my
Because
god.
I know it was a couple of times, like even in Europe, you know, one guy was in Oslo, and the guy in the hotel, I'm checking in the hotel, and he said, "Oh, you from Indiana Jones?" I'm like, "Fuck, how did they?" Because I'm wearing a hat, yeah, in
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, and the concierge, recognized me, you know,
Wow.
in in Oslo, and then the other guy in Copenhagen, he said, that was the first time for me. I was in Denmark, you know, first time, and I'm
Yep.
checking into the hotel, and the guy says, "Oh, you stayed here last year?" I stayed up, saying like, no. And yeah, and then it was interesting. Like about 2 years ago, was I took my dad. I went to Cyprus,
Right.
Cyprus, out of all places, sitting in the restaurant, and the guy, the waiter, comes up to me and says, "I'm sorry, can I, but to bother you, but I just watched The Abduction, this movie with Tyler Lautner, and so he recognized me, So I
Wow.
mean, this stuff happens,
Yep.
But anyway,
Do you ever get sick of playing characters like Vlad or Dimitri?
you know, it's because the reality in in business in Hollywood,
Yep.
you get most of the actors, they get typecast.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're like a big, big star, which is like how many, 10 of them,
Yeah.
or they choose projects that but most of the time you get typecast, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm fine with that because for my other creative kind of the demands, I do theater and other projects like that. So that's I don't try to limit myself creatively,
Yep.
but
Yep.
that's the business, and then there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're using me for, and it's fine,
Very true.
as long as you find, even with the seemingly simple character, or if you when you read it, maybe seems like it's kind of a cliche
Yeah.
once character, but you find something human about that and try to make it more interesting,
Yep. Understand that one. And also being asked, let's have a look. Have you ever tried anything else except voice acting? We'll leave that aside. Drawing, painting, or maybe writing a song, anything like that?
I've written a couple of poetry in Russian. I've written a short story. We wrote a script which with my friend, which we actually did the play, and now we're finishing we shot the film based on that.
Wow.
Feature length film. We're
Brilliant.
finishing the editing, so that is I guess
That is
there's a
awesome.
little bit of writing um, side, but it's not that I would like to develop more in myself.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot of ideas, but of course it has to be writing is an it's a very, I think you have to be extremely committed as far as regular sit down and write on a regular basis, and I've done some of that, but not.
Yep.
Um,
Well, somebody else is asking, I believe this is Elemental Dino is asking, if you could have a superpower, um, which one would it be? A
uh,
superpower.
Superpower. I mean,
Hmm.
I might sound just simple, and might sound as a cliche, but of course I would use my superpower to cure people of all the diseases they have.
Good answer. Very good answer. Mr. Raydawn is asking, I guess another thing to ask would be, have you ever pranked a person using your voice skills? That's actually a good one. Have you ever made a prank phone call to a friend using
My
a
mom.
voice? So have I.
Yeah, I would call you and just kind of do something like that, or I don't know. But my mom is easy to do because she never misses a phone call, and she's so in which is she's a very social person, likes talking to people, so she's actually waiting for somebody to call her, and so it wasn't. So I've done that a couple of times just for fun. Uh,
I done the same. I rang up my mum and told her she won 1,000 bottles of 101 cleaning shampoo for a carpet. That was quite amusing. And she was like, I don't want it, I don't want it. It's like, but you've got to take it. We're delivering it on Friday. It's like, we'll put it in your husband's garage. She was mad. But yeah, I've done those crazy things. I actually done a brilliant one to Delta Airlines. I rung Delta Airlines and I actually booked myself and a 4-ton elephant onto a flight from New Delhi into.
wow,
It was
wow.
hilarious. I'll send you a link for it later on when I get a chance, when you've got more time.
Absolutely.
But that was seriously. I kept the woman on the phone for the best part of 15 minutes. It was hilarious, to say the
Wow.
least. Other questions? We've got an up and coming theatre project. That was what somebody else just asked. Have you got any up and coming theatre projects?
Great. Yeah, I just actually met with. Actually, funny you mentioned. I'll be doing a play in. They're gonna start rehearsing. We're gonna start rehearsing in March, and that's the play that was written by Jesse Eisenberg.
Right.
You know the guy. You know from Network, and you know who he is.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yep.
They. I mean, he's done. He's like a star. He's done a lot of big. Network. David Fincher's. About the Facebook. He actually played um, the guy, the Facebook guy. What's his name?
Yep.
Anyway, so he wrote a play. He wrote a play which was produced in New York, and he played the main character, and Vanessa Redgrave was in it, and but now they're doing this version in LA,
Right.
and actually for me it would be the first. It's a 3-character play, and it would be because I've done in LA. The most of the theater is a small theater. It's not. It's like they call 99-seat theater. I've done a lot of that, but this would be like the one that the bigger venue um, project. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's
Yep.
the play is called The Visionist.
The Visionist. Okay.
Revisionist. Yeah, it's about this guy, the American young guy, the writer who comes to Poland to kind of reassess himself, and he has an aunt in Polish aunt, and there is this another guy who I play taxi driver, and there's like this triangle kind of it's a funny and kind of a interesting play. So anyway, so that's what I'm gonna be working on.
Looking forward to that. Looking
Yeah,
forward to
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
more about that. Do we have any other questions? I think Felicia was asking, who killed Comrade Rabbit? I
Oh,
forgot.
that's funny. That I did that play this year, well, last year in July. That's a one-man show. Yeah, that's yeah. It was. I co-wrote it with another writer, and it's about this actor in Russia during Stalin time when the repressions, and he has to testify in
Yep.
front of the secret police, and he faces his dilemma, and he gets increasingly drunk, and right before he goes to see to testify in front of secret police.
Uh-huh.
So we don't know if he gets killed or not, but most likely the answer is Stalin. That's the answer.
Spoilers in. Spoilers in.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? I see a few
I
popping up in the chat. Let's have a look. Is there space? I very much doubt it, ain't it? Is there space for a high-pitched short person living in the West Midlands in Hollywood?
What is that? What is that? What is that?
Young lad Taint's asking, is there anywhere in any work out there for a high-pitched short person from the West Midlands in Hollywood? Is there any work out there for a midget with a high-pitched voice?
I'm sure there is. There's all kinds of. I mean, it's just a matter of if it's a series. You have to. People have to come here and commit and do their groundwork and follow their dreams. I mean, it's all possible.
It's a crazy
It's all
question.
possible. That's why I tell my students also. They ask me, how do we make it? I mean, there's no. I mean, if we're talking seriously, yeah, there's no cliche. There is no answer. There is no ready answer. Everybody, they're finding their own way. They're
Yeah.
finding their own path. But the most important thing is to be committed and knowing that this is what I want to do, and this is what I will commit to and endure, difficulties. I mean, and overcome that. I mean, that's I think one of the most important things that a lot of people. There's a lot of people who don't know how to deal with that, and who come to Hollywood and then they try it for a year and then they leave, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's in all seriousness, it's all possible.
Yeah.
If you have a drive, passion, a talent, abilities, it's
there you go,
you
Taint.
will
Follow your
you'll
heart,
find
Taint.
yourself.
Exactly. You'll find it. Work hard, follow your heart. Exactly. I've not mentioned him about family. Do you come from a theatrical family? Do you come from a movie background family, or?
Uh, I'd say I have some artistic, like on my grandmother, both grandmother on my mom's side, grandmother and grandfather. He was operetta singer, like it's a light opera singer. And my grandma was the piano player, and my great grandmother was a piano player. So there's some artistic, background.
Yep.
My mom and dad, they were, my mom was the French professor in the university in Kiev, and my father, was, um, he was working with on economics in
Yep.
dealing with the so they're not necessarily the artistic, but on my grandmother and grandfather more, I'd say.
Yeah. And somebody else asking, I believe it's Taint again, is saying, have you ever been at a stage in your life where you think you're not going to get any further, or you've not got work?
That's a good question. The journeyman actor, going from job to job, you face that. I mean, pretty much, it's a reality, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee where the next, job is gonna come from. I mean, I've been lucky enough to manage my life, so I've been pretty much working constantly, I'd say, for the last 20 years. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
on a regular basis. But we all face, and also there's always, you want to improve and you want to go, a step further. And also, of course, there are moments where you start thinking, oh, I haven't gotten an audition, or I haven't gotten the, but I'm at the place right now, just in my life, that I'm not, as far as the financial stuff, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have to. It's not, if I don't get a job for a while, I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
not, and it's more for me to stay creative and keep having passion for what you do, and the
question.
jobs. It's not. I mean, of course, it's, you always have to be ready for the audition, this and that, but it's not like big concern that, okay, I'm not gonna have a job for a while. It's not, and I think not even thinking about that helps to be to actually get jobs. If you're not too stressed out about that,
Yep.
people sense that do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's kind of a catch-22. So I guess the main task is to stay creative, to stay passionate about what you do, and to manage your time properly. I think
Okay.
that's the main focus.
Cool. And we got a question from somebody saying, is there a movie or TV character that you've played that you felt emotionally connected to?
Yeah. There was I'd say it's probably more from I've done like the number of television things that there was a character. There was a show called Without a Trace,
Right.
and I think it was on CBS, I think. And there was I played a guy who's in love with this woman, and basically she gets involved with somebody else, and this that was an interesting. So that was a fair amount of emotion, investing yourself emotionally,
Yeah.
and it was an interesting. To me, it was a different character because it had, as far as all these bad guys, so it had that, more of a, different level, also different layer
Yeah.
to it, so I could get, yeah, that was that particular one.
Cool. And then somebody else is asking, well, how long have you been an actor? I know you say over 20 years you've been in the business. Um,
I
when?
started, yeah, I got here, I graduated from Moscow Art Theater in 1990, and I came the same year I came to America, and then my first acting job when I actually became, this member of the Screen Actors Guild, and there was a movie for television with Robert Downey Jr. and Samuel Jackson, and it was back in '93. It's called Hail Caesar. So that's I'm counting from that time, and then starting from like a late '95, which is like 20 years ago, I
Yeah.
started basically working on a regular basis, getting jobs on a regular basis.
Uh huh. Do you have any specific rituals or specific things that you do if you're preparing yourself for a movie role or screenplay? That's come
Oh,
from one of
yeah,
our viewers.
I drink a bottle of vodka straight.
That'll work.
You don't need you, don't, then you don't need to be an actor to act. You just I mean, you work on, in all seriousness, you work on a character. You work through you break down the script, you break down you finding what's your character's needs
Yeah.
and wants, and you just do this you just preparation, do the given circumstance, the whole thing, and you try to substitute from your personal life. That's like this, characters. I mean, actors' approach, method, you want to call it, and
Yeah.
just basically, it was interesting. Like the same method, they talk about a lot about method, but method is pretty much making it personal
Yeah.
for yourself. You make what's going on in the scene is personal for you, and then you build the character on that. So that's part of the not. I try not to over prepare or over kind of, of course you work on your lines, you memorize the lines, and then just don't try to muscle too much, or just kind of relax into the scene,
Yeah. That
so
kind of
don't.
leads on to another question that we were given. It's like, how do you actually remember your lines? Is there a specific way that you do it as for reading new lines and remembering them?
Yeah, it's the thing is, the lines, when you work on them, you first of all, you connect to the scene emotionally, yeah, to get this logic of the scene.
Yeah.
It's not. It's much harder to work, for example, when it's just a bunch of like technical text. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just that is much, for example, more difficult to memorize. But when you connect to it logically and emotionally to the text, then the text comes pretty
Yeah.
easy to you. Uh, you might skip few words here and there, but the whole structure will stay.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about when you have a short amount of time. So, yeah, I always try to for the auditions, I try to memorize it. Sometimes you don't have enough time, but um, yeah.
Hmm.
So that the lines. I mean, it's important to be of book. And for me, when you go auditioning, and it's just I always feel more comfortable when I'm of book and I know the lines.
Yeah.
So
Good. Nice answer. Any more questions we've got?
I think that might be it.
I have
Oh no, wait, Felicia.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
I hope it's not a cemetery. No. Well,
I wouldn't have
uh,
thought so. You're only 51. Behave.
you know, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, I think for anyone, I mean, it's like they say it's a bad soldier who doesn't want to be a general. Yeah. So there's always obviously you aiming for, you know, I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't think that I want to win an Oscar. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, it's it's but you do what you think is needed and at this moment, like we're creating, we're creating our own project, and we work this one. I'm going to do this another project that mm, maybe we'll talk later about. But
Hmm.
yeah, this and just advance yourself in any way that you feel that it's good now. I mean, that's what makes sense for you right now. It's kind of hard to imagine, what would happen
Yeah. What the
in
future holds.
years, what opportunities you will have, and what opportunities you will miss. You do your best. I think creating my own project is important, just to kind of get that, because this way you have more control of your career also,
Yeah.
uh, but whatever comes out of it, uh, it's who knows. Yeah, of course, to advance in if you're talking about the professional field, to advance, um, whatever that means in my career. I mean, maybe, I don't know, be on a TV series. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, the project we're gonna film hopefully this year to get some kind of a notoriety,
Yep.
and then that some out of that something might come, yeah. But
Interesting.
definitely stay with acting, maybe even direct something too. I mean, as far as a little project, a film, maybe even a short film, but to direct and um, just try, that side of,
Mhm.
also.
Yep.
So
And there was a question that you answered earlier on. It's that somebody's put in the chat. You do a lot of act coaching. You are an actor's coach. You said you were doing that before. Am I right in saying that's what you said earlier on? You do coaching as
you,
well.
yeah, you know about the teaching acting, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm working at the. They gave me my own. It's called scene study class.
Right.
I just started new semester yesterday, on Wednesday. New group of people. It's Lee Strasberg Institute. It's a pretty known school. They have one in New York and here.
Right.
A lot of foreign, people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's I have like every week I have it there, and it's been great. It's you know I knew at some point in my career it's gonna, I'm gonna start doing that. But I guess it was just like a natural transition also into that,
Yeah.
and apparently, I get good feedback from the students, and they bringing me back. It's, now I'm in the second year with them, and also I did couple of master classes in France, and it's already I've done maybe like 5, and probably I'm gonna go later this year. So it's something I have a passion for. It's not an easy thing because it's a lot of commitment. It's it's just working with people, finding, and also you have to be careful, what you say and what, as far as, because you don't want to discourage people, and
Yeah.
at the same time you have to be constructive, and yeah, but it could be very rewarding also
Yeah.
when you see the people actually
Have success. I mean, it must be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. I just this morning I saw my student from the last year. He was on TV commercial. Wow, I
Wow.
was no, but it was cool. It was actually interesting. I was like, wow, that's good for him. I just um anyway, so that's
Brilliant.
that's what I started doing too, and it's the whole skill within itself.
Yeah.
Of course, being an actor, working actor helps, but it's also different. It's knowing how to get for people to understand what do you want from them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
We've got a couple of other questions here. We've got what are your
yeah.
favorite TV programs?
It's interesting. I love documentaries. Yeah.
Right.
Also, this also. It's just I unfortunately, I don't know. Unfortunately, I can't just like sit and watch TV. I have constantly stuff I need to do. So
Yeah.
I have, one of my main things. I have a CNN on.
Right.
I think it's great. Every once in a while I watch Fox just to get like a different perspective, whatever.
Yeah.
But CNN, they have a lot of specials, and except when they bring Kardashians, then I don't watch it.
Oh my god.
But anyway, yeah, they have. So that's kind of a ongoing thing. I also watch, through on the internet. I watch some. There's a great program from Russia. This guy, he interviews people one-on-one, politicians in different. It's an interesting program.
Yeah.
Most of the television is one-sided because it's their media is taken over by the government. But this program it's kind of an exception, I think. Anyway, so, and of course there's great stuff, a lot of great stuff on Netflix, documentaries. I love some of this. I watch some of the fascinating stuff, but again, it all comes down about the time.
Having time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And our last question that we've got in the bottom of here from Jakey Cookie says, "What's your favourite kind of drink?" I think we might know what that is.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, the typical Russian drink is vodka, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not, and I know a lot of my friends who love that drink, and but I never was much of a drinker in real life.
Right.
I can't, I drank some hard liquor, but it was difficult for me. So
Yeah.
every once in a while, I would drink, wine, sometimes beer, like red wine. I know maybe sounds boring, huh? But it's interesting. One of the first times I remember when I came to America, and one of my American friends, they introduced me to this Long Island iced tea.
All right.
And that was pretty cool because, yeah, I've drank that. So every once in a while now I get, like, if it's a mixed drink, it's cocktail, I'll get that Long Island iced tea. But
Nice.
yeah, I have, yeah.
And they're very
overall, I don't like it's. I don't have any dependency on that.
Yeah.
I could drink and then have I was flying in the plane, for example, going back from Europe, and I drank a couple of glasses of wine and beer, because it was for free. No,
Huh.
no, I'm kidding. But no, but I could drink like once in a while, but then I don't really. If I don't have it, it's fine, you know.
Yeah. And we got a great question from one of our members, Nat Drunk, and it says, "What's your favourite quote of all time, or quote that you live by?"
Yeah. I'll tell you one of my favorites. Um, the secret to success is going from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And also, and I like that one. And also, I like the one, I think that was said by Einstein. The knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. So
Yeah.
I
Huh.
like that one.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Do you have any other questions? I don't want to tie you up. Honestly, I know you're very, very busy. Um,
No
just so
problem,
we're
guys.
sure.
It was a pleasure.
Let's have a look. Yep, I think we are running out of questions.
Great.
Um, we're having a look. See any other questions pop up, guys?
I have been looking. I can't see any. Sorry.
Yeah. What's the best part about being an actor? That's a good question.
Yep. You get to live different lives. You get to get away from, uh, in some ways, to get away from daily routine and live in imaginary world. I think that's, and
Yeah.
be able to be somebody else, but still using your emotions and your intelligence. And so I think, but I think the ability to create, to get into our different, so just say time zone and different existence,
Yeah.
that's and be able to express yourself. It's like I remember they were saying, quoting the older actors from the Moscow Art Theater, they say, life is a pretense, but here on stage is a real life. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you could they could actually they
True.
could actually, because in life we hide stuff, we did, and you know, on stage you could express yourself. Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's what they meant, and I agree with that.
Another really funny question. What's the funniest line that you've done in Payday, if you can remember?
Oh, it was something, man. It wasn't something for the, oh my God, but there was a few of them. Uh, you know, I have to. I think it was something about those goats. Yeah, something. I know they had a lot. They had a lot. There was something. Just last time we did it was about the goats, but there was something. Oh. No, I can't. I can't. Because I won't do justice if I don't say it.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but there was a lot of what was it? Yes. I like, you know what, I like that. I think they did it even, like, also I recall, I think it was even last year they did
Mhm.
for the Christmas song.
Right.
That was hilarious. I think they did it was like Jingle Bell Jingle, but they put this Oh, they were saying on the first day of Christmas,
That's it.
Vlad gave to you something 10 pounds of coke. I think it was hilarious.
Okay, brilliant. Absolutely
Yeah, 10
brilliant.
pounds of coke or something like that. It was that was I think it was pretty funny.
And somebody else is asking, what's the hardest English word for you to say?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I think maybe deficiency. I don't know.
That sounded okay to me.
I just enthusiasm. Actually, this one when I was saying enthusiasm is not. It wasn't easy. I don't. I'm somehow I'm mispronouncing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And enthusiasm or enthusiasm. Enthusiasm.
That's the one.
Yeah, I think it's. And we have it in Russian too, but it's a little bit. So that was. Yeah, I don't think it's. But there's few of those. I mean, that sometimes I struggle with.
Yeah.
I try to work on that.
I struggle with Russian, don't worry.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we have near enough run out of questions, I believe. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has been an absolute pleasure
Same guys.
to finally see the face and hear that voice of the crazy Russian.
Thank you, guys.
What is this? Somebody's gone off topic? I can't read what it says. What is that? Emotion activated. What?
It's not a question.
Oh,
What?
no, I'm saying nothing. No, it's okay. I'm not going to mention that one. Too bad.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ilia. It's been absolutely brilliant. I hope we can do this again because it's been absolutely fantastic. I know the viewers have enjoyed it.
Absolutely. There was, and I don't think I got. You told me your name. How do you spell it?
My name, as in my personal name, or my character name, Stratmaniac or Andy?
Oh, Andy. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Oh, great. Fantastic. And thank you for having me. And we'll, let's stay in touch.
Definitely. It's been an